got an anterior pelvic tilt that's leading to lower back pain, we're going to work on some foam rolling today that is going to start to make you feel a little bit better. Hi, my name is Mariah. Welcome to Wealthy Boss. I am certified in barre, yoga, Pilates. I love helping people feel better through careful, mindful movement. Sometimes that means we work our bodies hard and challenge ourselves, and sometimes it means we do more of these recovery practices. So today I'm going to be using a foam roller. I prefer a smooth one. Whether yours is short or long doesn't really matter, but whatever you've got is fine. I'll also be using a ball. I really love being able to get a little bit deeper into the tissues using a ball. This one is a trigger point therapy ball. You can use a lacrosse ball. Tennis ball is honestly one of my favorite tools to use. It's a little softer, so I feel like you can get a little bit more relaxed into it. At the end of the day, whatever you've got is what we're going to work with today. I'm also going to have a couch cushion nearby, just in case we need a little bit of support, so we can release a little of the pressure that sometimes comes in our upper body when we're rolling out our legs. So we're going to begin with the foam roller. And we're going to be working into our quads. Quads may not be the first thing that we think of when we are feeling pain in our lower back, but it certainly can help kind of tug the pelvis forward and create tension in the low back. So we want to work into it. Now I'm going to be doing maybe a little different technique on the quads than you've done before. I'll actually demonstrate. We're going to be working my back leg first, so you can see what my front leg is doing. Again, different ways you can work the quads, but this is going to give us just a little bit more opening in those hips. I'm actually going to take my other leg out to the side. If you're on hard floor like I am, you might want to keep it on the mat or have a good blanket nearby. And then I'm rolling. I'll pick this leg up for a moment so you can see. I'm rolling right just a couple inches, maybe an inch or two above the kneecap. Of course, we don't want to go on the kneecap. Ooh, I'm already feeling it right away without doing any movement here. And notice how I'm beginning with those toes tucked. So I'm just going to kind of relax into the muscle as much as I can. Take some nice deep breaths. So I'm pretty low on the quad still, making sure to avoid the direct kneecap. Now taking some nice deep breaths. Now I'm going to give you the option. For a lot of people, this is uncomfortable on the shoulders. And so it's hard to actually relax because the rest of the body is kind of struggling to hold yourself up. If that's the case, take a pillow and kind of squeeze it between the elbows. It's going to give you a little bit of relaxation, but what we don't want to just completely collapse, feeling that leg totally come up. We want to still feel like we're pressing into the mat, squeezing into the pillow, but that can help us just a bit. Nice deep breaths, and now we're going to start to introduce the movement. So we have lots of things to kind of play with here. The important thing is that we find what feels good to you. Start by keeping the toes on the ground and kind of fanning, heel back and forth. This is a technique I learned from Dr. Kelly Starrett from the Ready State. He's also a great resource for trigger point work. Beautiful. You can, of course, experiment with that outside leg. Have the heel in or out, have the knee wider, higher, lower, whatever feels comfortable for you here. Very gently now, we're going to start to go forward and back. Still taking those deep breaths. Goodness gracious. Perfect. And now, here comes the good stuff. We're going to lift the leg. Start to give me some little heel squeezes in, only if it's available. You got it. Nice big breaths. Now because we have the leg lifted, it's okay if you want to kind of position yourself on your cushion here to relax a little bit. We're still going to get, because we kind of have that elevation, we're still getting the gravitational pull. Again, just making sure you're not dumping. You don't want to feel like your tailbone is lifting, just kind of pointing that tailbone down smooth towards the heel. Very good. And then propping ourselves up on those elbows again. This time keeping the toes elevated, but we're going to kind of roll to the outside. So kind of pigeon toe those toes in, and then heel comes back up to the ceiling. Roll the heel out to the side. Whew, how is it feeling for you? I'm always amazed at how much is sneaking around in the quads. Alrighty, that was amazing. Go ahead and kind of wiggle that knee underneath you. And we're gonna move to side two. So pillow can stay where it is if you enjoyed that. Go ahead and reach back. And getting set up. So again, we're kind of just positioning it an inch or two above the kneecap. And then that knee comes out to the side. Because I'm on a hard floor, I'm gonna kind of veer over towards the other side of my mat so that I can keep that opposite knee on the mat just so that it doesn't hurt. The kneecap, the bone. So I'll start on my elbows. And again, I'm tucking those toes. Some nice deep breaths. Starting to let that musculature just kind of melt and relax. It may not come naturally. We might have to remind ourselves to do it. Adjusting that outside knee higher up, further out, lower down, wherever feels most comfortable. And then starting to go side to side. Wow, so we kind of might even feel the whole muscle shift underneath us. You might kind of feel like you're falling off the quadricep. That's okay. That's to be expected. And again, taking care that we're not dropping the belly down and lifting the toe up. Let's try to keep the toe planted for now. And at that point, if you want to go ahead and squeeze that pillow in to give yourself a little bit of help. Now, I do have a firmer bolster that I like for a lot of things, like some restorative yoga poses for the back. This is not actually the time I would recommend a super firm bolster, because what that does is that it's going to offset some of the body's weight. You actually want the weight of gravity to be pressing down on the roller. So if you have too firm of a support underneath you, well, of course it can feel nice for the shoulders. You're not gonna end up getting the benefit into the quads where we want it. All right, now we're just gonna go forward and back, making sure, please, that you're not rolling onto the kneecap. We never wanna roll onto a bone or joint. Let's remind ourselves to take those deep breaths. We may not want to. Whew. And letting it all go. This is gonna be doing so much good for freeing up the low back, for helping you stand a little bit more upright without tugging on the low back. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead, lift the leg up, flex the foot for me first. Ooh, I'm gonna pump and release. And remember, we can come down, kind of position it under your chest if you need, and just see. Everything with foam rolling is what feels better to you. And again, being careful when you do leave it up that you're just not dumping into the belly button. We want to keep a nice straight back here. This is so good for you. Ooh. Nicely done. I'm going to prop myself back up on my elbows. I keep the toes elevated now. I can go ahead and point the toe. I like, and then I'm kind of rolling side to side as much as I can. It's a little bit hard with that outside knee kind of tapping you down. We're just kind of gently exploring side to side. If you kind of need to move around on the foam roller, feel free. Oh, goodness gracious, let's be done with that. So we take the outside knee underneath us. Go ahead and prop us up. And now we're gonna swap out our foam roller with the small ball. Go ahead and set the pillow aside for now. We don't need that just yet. And then we're gonna be getting into our glutes. I just love working into glutes. We're just gonna be doing a shorter series for them today. I do have fuller series. If you want a little bit more work into your glutes, let me know. I'll be happy to drop that link in the comments for you. So we're gonna place the ball under what I call the medius section of the glutes. So it's just kind of right underneath towards the one side of the spine. So I'm gonna be on the front side here. Of course, we wanna avoid that tailbone place, so placing it just kind of in the center. You can take your arms out for balance if you like. And there's a few different techniques. I'm gonna introduce each of them to you. I want you to try each of them, and then you pick the one that works best for you. I like to always start nice and simple with just some simple side to side movement here. It's a great place. Now we can kind of relax the neck and shoulders. So we introduce a little bit more relaxation here. See if we can really fall into that relaxed breath pattern. It's a little bit harder to do in that previous position where you're kind of propping yourself up and you have that tension in your shoulders. Now, The shoulders relax, feeling your weight sink into the ball. Of course, the firmer the ball, the more you're gonna feel this, whether that's good or bad is up to you. We don't want to have so hard of a surface underneath us that the muscles guard and kind of grip. We do want them to feel that they can kind of soften into it, which is why I actually generally prefer a tennis ball. I just kind of I don't happen to have one right now. Nice big breaths. And then every now and then we're just gonna kind of reposition it too. Maybe see if you feel a little bit more juice in another section of the seat. And we can actually go so far over to we're almost on the side of the hip, start to get into the gluteus medius and maybe even to the minimus. So again, side to side. And then another option is, I'll just kind of come back to the center of the seat now. I call them my hula girl hips. So you can take 2 fingers, find your hip bones. And then instead of going from side to side like a saw, I'm going down with one hip. So my front hip is going towards my foot, my back hip is pulling up towards the shoulder, and then I reverse. So just kind of like a hula girl dancer. Picture a hula girl dancer, but obviously we're on our back. So kind of down and up. So as you shorten one side, you're lengthening the other. Again, big breaths. Perfect. And I'm going to show you another technique here. I like to take my arms out to the side for this. We're just going to relax that knee open to the side and then come back up. So you're fanning it out and close like the pages of a book. Big breath still. That can be a little bit more intense because we're adding more gravitational pull by kind of drawing the knee down at an angle against gravity. One more concept for you, and then we're gonna keep playing on this side. Knee falls out to the side, and then it sounds silly, I know, but it's gonna help you for sure. So we actually squeeze the butt muscle underneath. So squeeze, contract that muscle, and then relax. Notice how much more the muscles tend to soften and release. And we'll do that several times. So maybe tighten on the inhale and release on the exhale. Isn't that amazing how much that helps? Good. So those are all your options. Again, we've got side to side, hula girl hips. We have fanning it open and closed, or you can keep the knee open, grip and release. Now I want you to take that ball. We're gonna stay on the same side for a little bit longer and just move it around to a different kind of portion of the seat. The glutes are the biggest muscles in the body, so we all have a little, or a lot of real estate to cover here, I should say, that's gonna be bigger than the surface of that ball can handle. So we wanna move it around, just kind of find any of those techniques that work best for you. Many of us are gonna feel a lot of sensation more towards the outer edge of the hip because we don't get it into the gluteus medius enough. So that could be where you end up finding a lot of relief. Whew. It feels good and it doesn't at the same time. If you're feeling that, you know you're doing it right. But you don't want to just, completely murder the tissue here. That'll be counterproductive. It'll start to grip up kind of in resistance to it. We want to still be kind of soft and gentle into it. There is that definitely a little bit kind of, grinning and bearing it, but not so much that the muscles or tissue feel like you're stressing out around it. I feel like if you're like gritting your teeth, maybe just back up a little bit. Back off just a touch, good. We'll spend about 30 more seconds here on this side, maybe adjusting the ball up or down, side to side. Remember, we're still staying, to this side of its tailbone. And then we want to avoid, especially if the ball is on the harder side, we don't want to feel like we're pressing into the bone at the back of the pelvis. We want to make sure we're definitely in the chin of that muscly area. Perfect. Now before we go to side 2, I'm going to go ahead, because it's easier to demonstrate kind of while the ball is here, I'm going to go ahead and move on up to the QL, so that's your big muscles in your low back connecting your pelvis to your rib cage. I'll kind of pull my shirt up here a little bit so you can see where we're going. We're going basically the bottom of the rib cage, not on the rib cage. We want to avoid the bone. We're kind of just right below, and again, most of this is by feel. It might take you a couple times to try. And then I'm going to actually fall over to the side. I'm going to kind of adjust that a little bit. I may even come, ooh, there it is. Yeah, I'm going to come all the way over to my shoulder, which means I dropped my microphone. Pardon me. And just start to kind of play around until you feel like you're really stretching out the muscles between, or the tissue between the rib and the pelvis. Now I feel like if I just lift that hip up slightly, that top hip, I get even more pressure into that tissue and it feels so, so good. So I'm a little bit active with the top glute, not a ton, but a little bit active, so that I can feel like I'm pressing down. And again, sometimes it takes a couple of times to really try it. You'll know when you have something good. You can just hang out here, take some deep breaths, or you can do a little bit of forward and back movement. There's not a whole lot to be found here. Ooh, this is good stuff. I'm always tight here. So this is a really good one to do if you find that just sitting upright for long periods of time, especially without any type of backrest or support, if that really doesn't feel good, or say like if you ever try to meditate just like seated, like a cross-legged position or something, and that's uncomfortable for you, chances are these postural muscles, your QL muscles, are just super tight, and this can be a really great way to help them feel more comfortable. Let's keep breathing. Good, so again, I'm kind of angling that top hip bone down as I bring the top hip bone up. Excuse me, pardon me. All sorts of good things happening in the body here. And then, still staying on that side, I'm gonna kind of rock back at a little bit of an angle. So my hip is still slightly off the ground. The back of my right cheek, or my bottom cheek, might be touching the ground, but the top hip and the top cheek are still off the ground. And then I'm kind of going back and forth. This feels so amazing. Feel free to adjust the ball slightly forward, up, down, side to side, always making sure that you're not pressing into the back of the pelvic bone. You'll probably know it if you feel it. It'll feel like just like you're pressing into something that doesn't have any give at all. You want to instead be working into where you have some give. Beautiful, and then one more thing here. We're gonna come all the way up, so hips come off the ground. So both cheeks are off the ground. And this feels amazing in and of itself. Maybe just slightly side to side, but we're not rolling all the way into the spine. We're gonna leave the spine out of it. Nice deep breath. This should feel amazing. You can even experiment with going a little bit wider out to almost like the top of the hip. Perfect. And then it's time for side two. So I'm just gonna flip around. You can just stay where you are, take the ball over to the other side, just so that you can see what we're doing. I'm gonna flip around. So again, we started with the glute. On side two, we pick it up and we stay to the side of the spine, or the side of the tailbone, but we want to be kind of in the medius section to begin. Arms can relax by the side for balance. We're going to go side to side. Still taking those deep breaths to relax the nervous system. Side, we can take, again, I like to take pointer fingers to hips to kind of guide that motion. We can take hula girl hips, so front hip comes up towards my shoulder, back hip goes down towards my foot, and then vice versa. So that might feel better. Oops, if the ball falls too far down, just go ahead and reposition it back up. And then let's take it out to the side. There it is, and back up. To the side, back up. This is so good for us. Now let's keep it out to the side. We're going to grip and release. Grip and release. Grip and release. Now let's take the knee back up. We're going to reposition the ball to slightly different areas. We can go up, down, side to side, as long as we're not going directly under the tailbone. And we just play with whatever feels good. So whichever of those four techniques feels good, just kind of start to spend about 10 breaths or so there before you pick the ball up and move it to another location of the seat. Knowing that one side you might get more benefit in a different kind of part of the seat if you could have some imbalances from side to side. Always reminding ourselves to take those deep breaths. With foam rolling, it's something that doesn't always happen naturally. We have to remind ourselves to do it. One more position, so about another 30 seconds here. Finding where you need it the most. Beautiful. And then let's go ahead and bring it up, just kind of slightly below the rib cage. We're going to set the hip down and then take the knee out to the side. Again, this is where my microphone likes to fall out. There we go. And now, I'm just breathing into it. So that top hip is almost like pressing up. And I think about almost lengthening or like pressing the bottom hip down into that ball. Need to adjust. You might be, again, more sensitive on one side versus the other. And we're going to gently kind of lean back slightly. Reposition it if we need to. So again, we're just kind of in that tender section right above the pelvis, below the rib cage. And again, I'm kind of taking the out to the side now, and then slightly back and forth. So the back hip is still higher than the bottom hip. Rotating side to side. Lastly, I'm going to take both knees up, so both hips are off the ground, both cheeks are off the ground, just side to side. Melting into it. This should feel super good, so enjoy. And you're feeling a little bit of involuntary twitching here. That means change is happening in the body. All good stuff. Go ahead and come out of that. And hopefully you feel a little bit better, have some more freedom in your low back. Thanks again for joining me. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. I bring new videos every single week. And if you're on a quest to move with a little bit more freedom when it comes to your low back, then I invite you to download a special guide I put together for you, a free ebook called Back Bliss. This is 3 yoga and Pilates essentials to help you love your low back. The release work that we did was a big part of that. But there's 2 other kind of foundational principles that is really an important starting point for really all of us with low back pain. Low back pain is different for everyone, has different causes, different nuances, but these are 3 essentials that everyone needs to start with to be able to begin to find some relief. So I will invite you to download that. I will link to it in the description below. That is also the best way to know when I come up with new back resources, new videos, new programs, exploring some live classes and workshops. So I would love to be able to help you with this. It's something that I have been struggling with myself. So I'm taking all the things that I've learned, not only for my students, but on my own journey as well, and sharing them with you so that we can feel better and move with freedom. Bye for now.